is that throughout the world there are some really crazy laws in effect. Now, I didn't know about like most of these, literally, and I'm actually kind of nervous to travel because some of this stuff I could get dinged with, I could get busted, and then I'd be going into the clink, and I ain't going back. I'm just kidding. I've never been in the clink. Okay, so I think we're gonna get started, guys. I'm chewing gum. I'm gonna be reading these very interesting, bizarre laws. So, if you're new to the channel, this is one of the types of videos that we do here, but we do all kinds of different ASMR related videos. So, if you are enjoying this content, please subscribe, drop a like on this video for the algorithmic gods, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let's dig in, because this is going to be off the chain. Okay. Alright. The first one. In Switzerland. I've never been to Switzerland. In apartment buildings, flushing the toilet after 10 p.m. is considered noise pollution. The law was designed to respect neighbors' sleep, though many Swiss admit it isn't really enforced. I mean, unless you have like a jet engine powering your toilet, how noisy can it be? Now, I don't know, there's all different types of toilets. You know, maybe it makes a lot of noise in the pipes. I don't know. But how are they gonna know, right? Like, my neighbor can't hear me. At least I don't think they can. When I do a little flusheroonie, right? What do you think? How do you even enforce that? Can you just, like, deny it? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't flush. I wouldn't. I would never. That's a weird one. But imagine that's what you go down for. Of all the things that it could be. Why you in here, buddy? Flushed. Probably a lot of people incarcerated who flushed. Alright, next one. In Denmark, drivers must check under their vehicles for people before starting the engine. This archaic law likely came from concerns about homeless individuals sleeping under cars. I've never been to Denmark. Would always love to go to Switzerland. Denmark would be awesome. I think it's not unreasonable to check under your car. You know, that's just my take on it. Because you never know, right? Now, I would suggest to someone who needed a place to lay their weary head that maybe under a car is not a great place. But, I don't know, maybe it's difficult to find shelter in some places. And certainly, I feel for those people. But, very high risk place to slumber, I will say that. So, yeah, I think it's reasonable to check. I don't know if they enforce that, but if there's any chance that there could be someone there, gosh. The other thing is, like, being really careful when you're backing out of a spot. If you don't have, like, a backup camera, like all cars these days have backup cameras, right? But, like, imagine some short person behind your car. Cooked. Alright, the next one. Germany. Running out of fuel on the Autobahn is illegal. Stopping for any reason other than emergencies is seen as endangering others' lives. This makes a lot of sense. I've never been on the Autobahn, but it was like the thing of legend when we were kids, right? There's no speed limits. So if you imagine having a car that's stalled or parked on the side of the highway, risky business. If people are doing like 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, I don't know how fast these people are going, right? Hitting a parked object. Terrible. Lights out. So that one makes sense to me. It's not that bizarre if you think about it. Of course, there are lots of reasons why someone would need to stop, right? But caution is the name of the game. I'm sure they have like pull-offs and like rest stops and stuff where you can actually safely get off the highway if you have that opportunity. What do I know? Alright, this one is in Italy, and specifically in Milan. A smile is mandatory in public places, unless you're at a funeral or hospital. The law was originally meant to encourage positive atmosphere in the city. Yo, that feels a little heavy-handed. Like, other than being at a hospital and all of the sad things that can happen in hospitals, or being at a funeral, which is obviously very sad, there's a lot of other things that can ruin your day. Let's say you just got broken up with, or, you stubbed your foot, right? Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you flunked a test. Am I to understand that even in those situations, you have to be smiling? It seems unfortunately fake, and it kind of speaks to this manufactured happiness that we see so often on social media, right? How much of that is real? And I mean, you know what? From my perspective, if you're having a bad day, it's healthier to express that in a safe and calm way. Alright, next, again, we're in Italy. This one's in Capri. Noisy flip-flops and clogs are banned because they disturb the island's peaceful vibe. Capri has long been a retreat for the wealthy, so quietness is strictly maintained. I'd be cooked. I love flip-flops in the summer, you guys. I love them. Blub, blub, blub. I don't mind. Maybe it's annoying for other people. Maybe people don't want to see my paws, right? Maybe, I don't know. But sometimes you gotta let those dogs breathe, right? And I would get locked up immediately. I'd probably wear shoes, right? No big deal. But I'd be like, low-key, I'd be sneaky, putting on my flip-flops when no one's watching. I'm not sick or anything. I just know what I need to do. Alright, apparently in the United Kingdom, it's illegal to be drunk while in charge of a cow. While in charge of a cow. Okay. Oh my god. Do you hear that? Yo, they're coming for me. Which law did I break? We're cooked. Oh, we're cooked. We're cooked. Oh wait, false alarm. I swear, I'm neither drunk nor in charge of a cow right now. And I'm not in the UK, so come at me, bro. This law dates back to when livestock was commonly walked through towns. Fair, right? And I mean, let's be real. Cows are wonderful, beautiful animals. They're so expressive and empathetic and wonderful. And yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be taking risks like that, having a few drinks before you start walking your cow through town, yeah, we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem. So yeah, don't drink and drive. Obviously, don't drink and walk your cow. Obviously, one follows the other. It's such a precious opportunity to walk a cow. Don't squander it. Alright, here we go. Scotland. If someone knocks on your door needing the bathroom, you must let them in. It's a quirky reflection of Scottish hospitality. Also, I think those lawmakers have not watched any horror movie ever. That's the worst thing. I feel for people who's gotta go. I've been in emergency situations. Number one. Number two. The occasional number three. Sometimes you're running against the clock, right? And you're in a bind, and you need a place quickly. If someone didn't want to let me in, I'd get it. You know what? I'd get it. Not because I'm weird or anything, but because, your home is your safe space, and, you gotta protect your space, I guess. I get it. So I feel like maybe this one needs to be rethought a little bit. I think people should have the autonomy and the right to choose whether or not someone is allowed to come in or out of their home. Well, not out of the home. If someone wants to leave, you gotta let them leave. Here we go, you guys. Laws of 101 right here. Right here. If someone wants to leave your home, you have to let them leave. Other than, that would be kidnapping. Let's be real. That's another law, probably. Definitely. Here we go. Okay, this one again in the UK. This is in Chester. A medieval law bans Welshmen from entering the city walls after dark. Though ancient, it is never officially repealed. Wow. Is that really the case? So someone from Welsh can't go to Chester after dark. What happens if they do today? Probably nothing. Let's be real. Who's gonna file a complaint about them, right? Doesn't make any sense. But I like it. It's weird and wonderful. They must have had beef back in the day. I don't know much about the history there. Forgive me. I don't, but maybe there was some beef between Chester and Welsh people. I don't know. If you know about that, let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious about that little tidbit of history. Alright, next. In Greece, high heels are banned at ancient monuments like the Acropolis. The shoes damage fragile stone, so tourists must wear flat footwear. Makes total sense. It's such a challenging thing, I would imagine. Protecting something so old, right, and preserving it for others to enjoy. And with the amount of foot traffic going through there, I'm sure even the flat shoes probably still cause some amount of wear and damage and stuff. Also, like safety, people are going to be rolling their ankles. I don't know if you've been to the Acropolis. I've been, and the ground is not like super even, right? Imagine you, gosh, someone's poor ankles would be done so. Alright, next. In Portugal, urinating in the ocean is illegal. Authorities argue it's about public hygiene, though enforcement is nearly impossible. If someone's swimming, how are you gonna know? Realistically, right? But I mean, I guess from like a protect our waters and the local marine environment perspective, and then also at like a public beach. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be swimming in pee. I will say that. Generally, right? Okay, that's all I can say about that. Okay, this one's in Spain, in a place called Salou. Building sandcastles is banned on certain beaches. Towns say it causes obstructions and annoys beachgoers. Guys, this is just being a bit of a stickler, let's be real. If a kid wants to build a sandcastle, you're gonna really stop them. Walk around it. This is like some Karen stuff, I think. Like, I think it's totally reasonable to build these little sandcastles at the beach. Why not? Most beaches, like, groom the beach and stuff anyways, right? I think that's terrible. Let the kids play. Someone let the kids play. Anyways, that's wild that's illegal. Can you imagine seeing a little kid in handcuffs with their little beach shovel and their little bucket, cooked, confiscated at best. Okay, in Madrid, still in Spain, throwing confetti without permission can get you fined. Officials argue it creates too much litter in public areas. I support this. You know, I can't imagine anyone throwing confetti has any intention of cleaning up the confetti. And probably, I mean, Madrid's a big city. There's probably lots of celebrating and like fun stuff going on there all the time. I mean, who throws confetti anyways? You know, you don't really see confetti all that much anymore. I think it's because it makes a huge mess. I don't want someone throwing confetti in my place. You know, it'd take forever to clean up. I get it, Madrid. Find those people. Take them out. Okay, in Austria, specifically Vienna, feeding pigeons in public squares is illegal. Wow. The city treats them as pests, and violators face hefty fines. I get it. Again, pigeons, they poop everywhere. They literally poop everywhere. And I think they're so smart that they learn, right, where you're going to be. So if they see you down there with like a little, what do they eat in Vienna? Schnitzel. If you're sharing your schnitzel with a bird, the bird's going to come back. I would, if you shared your schnitzel with me, I'd be there every time. I guess the difference is the birds, they just poop everywhere. I don't, just so you know. Number 1, number 2, number 3, you never know. Here we go. Norway. Okay, neutering dogs or cats is banned unless necessary for health reasons. Oh wow. The country views sterilization as animal cruelty. Okay, okay. Yeah, I get it. I do get it. It feels somewhere deep in my core like wrong. Like dangerously paternalistic and like control based and stuff. And you're like removing this beautiful animal's ability to procreate, which is like one of the reasons why it exists. I don't know what like the Norway pet situation is, if they have like lots of just dogs roaming around and stuff. I think, you know, in the United States and in Canada, there's a lot of places where there's been a lot of like irresponsible like breeding and stuff of dogs, and you know, there's a lot of like stray dogs and stuff that procreate, and cats and stuff, and there's been like massive issues with like almost like infestations of like cats that are just like feral and wild. So I mean, gosh, you know, I could see it having like benefit to the public from that perspective, but I don't know, that's a tough one, you guys. Let me know what you think about that. I think it's pretty common in North America for pets to get spayed or neutered, but you let me know what you think about that. It's a tough one ethically. It's a tough one. Okay, speaking of North America, now we're going to the USA, specifically Alabama. You can't wear a fake mustache in church if it causes laughter. Lawmakers believe it was disrespectful to service. Really? Were there so many people pulling up to church wearing a fake mustache that they had to make a law about it? I imagine it was like one church where a couple of the people at the church were like engaged in some kind of quiet competition where they were getting increasingly more and more ridiculous fake mustaches, like one of those big bushy boys, you know, or like, you know, the big handlebar. I don't know. Apparently in Alabama that was a thing because they had to make a law about it. You know, that seems like a lot to me. I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I don't know. You know, and I think laughter is the best medicine. You know, is it so wrong to laugh in a church? I don't think they're laughing at any of the church goers' beliefs. I think they're laughing at the fake mustache, right? I don't know. That's a tough one. It invokes a lot of thoughts, I will say that. Okay, still in the US, this time Arizona. Donkeys are forbidden from sleeping in bathtubs. Okay, this odd law arose after a rancher's donkey floated away in a flood while asleep in a tub. What is the alternative? That this poor donkey drowned in the flood? That bathtub saved that donkey. And you're gonna tell me, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna tell me that my donkey can't sleep in my bathtub? I don't know, you guys. I think that little donkey, if it wants to sleep in a bathtub, it should be able to. This is a law that I could see major protests about. I don't know what else to say. Donkeys sleeping in bathtubs. It's out of control, you guys. We're living in some kind of weird dystopian dream. Okay, in California next. Okay, whistling for a lost canary before 7 a.m. is banned. It was written into law as a way to prevent noisy disturbances early in the morning. What if you were whistling for your budgie? You know? What if you were whistling for little Ronnie, the budgie? Right, little Ronnie got out. And you're whistling for the budgie. It's 6 a.m. You're cooked. It's not a canary. You'd have to prove. You know, you'd have to get some pictures of yourself with little Ronnie, the budgie. Don't slip up. Don't tell him it's a canary. Or like a finch. Or a lovebird. Or, what are some other birds? A parrot. A parakeet. Is a parakeet a budgie? I don't know. We're getting too deep on it. Yeah. Were there that many people with canaries going missing in the wee hours of the day? I don't know. That's wild. How about Connecticut? pickles must bounce to be legally called pickles. Food inspectors actually drop them to ensure freshness. I think, now I know there's all kinds of different areas, right? There's the food industry, there's like Pokemon cards, and there's people that are within those little spheres of knowledge that have very firm and intense opinions and knowledge and ideas about. And I think a lot of people like to defend their little island, right? The pickle one's weird. I'm just gonna say it. You know, the pickle must bounce. You know, I don't know. I don't know about that. What do you think? If you drop a pickle, I've never dropped a pickle. I always got a firm grasp on it because I don't want to waste it. But I've never dropped a pickle. But if I did, and it didn't bounce, what am I even eating? The jar says pickle. It looks like a pickle. It smells like a pickle. You drop it. Food. We're cooked. What is it? I don't know. In Connecticut, it wouldn't be a pickle. So what is it? That's a wild one. I think maybe these people need more hobbies or something, or like other interest areas to worry less about the small things, you know? Life is short. If you want to believe it's a pickle, believe it's a pickle. Onwards. Delaware. We're getting a lot of U.S. laws here. This is out of control. Whispering in church is illegal. It was meant to preserve the solemnity of religious services. Okay, I could see it. You know, whispering sometimes is like very distracting for the people around you, right? And I could see it like disrupting a service, for sure. I could see that. It's a place where, like, you know, you should be respectful. I get it. I wonder what the punishment is for whispering in a church. What if you have to? You know, what if you have to tell someone something really important, right? I don't know. You know, what do you do? I don't know. Okay. Here we go. In Florida. A wonderful and wild place. Singing while wearing a swimsuit in public is banned. It's one of many strange decency laws in the state. I plead guilty. I plead the fifth. Oh, I'm not American. Can I still plead the fifth? I don't know. Because the thing is, I've probably sang in a bathing suit. I don't know. I don't have, the memory's not conjuring right now. But I think maybe I did. I could see it happening. I don't know. Florida's such a sunny place. Why wouldn't you want to sing? You know, you're at the beach, you're in your bathing suit, or maybe you're by the pool, right? And you hear a good song come on the radio. You better zip it for risk of major punishment. Alright, Georgia. In Gainesville, fried chicken must be eaten with your hands. The town passed the law to honor its chicken capital of the world nickname. Who eats fried chicken with a fork and knife? Who does? Or like 2 spoons, you know? Who does that? I get it. You gotta eat it with your hands. Now, do I think they needed to make that a law? No. It's excessive and wild, and maybe there's more important issues than that, but it's important to them. You gotta eat the chicken with your hands. Alright. How about Hawaii? You can't put coins in someone's ear. Okay. It was meant to discourage unsafe street magic tricks. Don't they know how magic works? The coin's not actually going in the ear. They've got it like behind their finger or something. They're doing something. It's not actually in the person's ear. Someone got tricked. And they were bitter about it. That's what happened. Because that law is out of control. And they didn't think to Google like how that magic trick works or something. You know? So they were like, that man put a coin in my ear, and I don't like it. I don't know what that accent was. It was like a homogenous accent. They don't sound like that in Hawaii. Forgive me, people. It was a weird accent, but this man or woman, this person, did not like the coin upset about it. What coin fits in your ear? I also want to know that. I've, in my days of pulling stuff out of people's orifices at work, I'm a doctor. I'm not like... I felt like it was important to say that. I've never pulled a coin out of someone's ear. It's pretty hard to get a coin in there, I think. You would do some serious damage. I'm just saying, this one's weird. It's extra. Okay. In Indiana, still in the US, mustaches are illegal if you tend to kiss other humans often. The law was rooted in old hygiene fears. Okay. See, what I don't like about this one is how, like, subjective and difficult to quantify it is. What is often? How often do you have to kiss someone for it to be called often? That's a bit vague, and it's worrisome. But also, like, back in the day, people didn't used to wash their hands, right? So, like, I get it, the mustache, the old dirty mustache, gross, I get you. But, now that we wash our hands and we shower, we have access to clean water and sweet-smelling soaps, I think it's good, if you got someone in your life with a mustache, give them a smooch. What's the harm? Okay, next up, Kansas. Serving wine in teacups is banned. Officials wanted to preserve proper etiquette. Come on. That's too much. That's too much. Instead of a spot of tea, you could have a spot of wine in a little teacup. Elegant. I think it's totally fine. Bust out the old silverware and the old china and have a nice time. Why not? I don't know. It seems excessive. There's a lot of wild ones here from the US. We are like hammering through. I know this is supposed to be the world, but this list is giving me a lot of weird US laws. I think there's just a lot of laws in the United States. That's got to be it, right? And there's so many states, and they all have their own laws. Okay, here we go. In Kentucky, citizens must bathe at least once per year. Oh my gosh. While rarely enforced, it was a public health measure. Yeah, you think? Once per year? Bruh. No. Once per year? I can't even touch this one. If someone's only bathing once a year, lock them up. Lock them up. Get them out of here. That's wild. Once per year. Oh my goodness, PU. Tell me about Louisiana. It's illegal to send someone an unwanted pizza as a prank. Oh my god, I did that once. But here in Canada, not in Louisiana. The law exists to protect businesses from fraud and waste. Okay, well, I paid for it. And I tipped the driver. My friend didn't know the pizza was coming. So I was like surprising him with the pizza. It wasn't like a prank. But I think everyone was confused. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, fraud and waste, yeah. I mean, if you're not paying for it, like, you gotta pay for it. Obviously. So, I mean, that should be a law. Otherwise, it's like a theft, right? I would think. I don't know. Definitely a waste of everyone's time and resources for sure. So, I mean, I agree with this law. You gotta pay for it. Okay, in Maine, advertising on tombstones is prohibited. Sorry. Lawmakers wanted to preserve dignity in cemeteries. Yo, can you imagine? Those like, those jumpsuits that like race car drivers wear? When they have like, all the different, they'll have like Subway and like, what are other brands? I don't know, Kmart. I don't even think that's around anymore. Walmart. Like the oil brand. Michelin tires. What are they advertising on anymore? I don't even know. Toys R Us. I don't know. Imagine someone's, like, people were selling advertising space on a tombstone. I agree with this law. That's way too much. Imagine you had, like, a grave and it was, like, sponsored by Quiznos, or, like, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza. It's too much. I don't like that. Or in Minnesota, we're still in the States, you guys. Mosquitoes are officially declared a public nuisance. The law allows allows for mass extermination programs during infestations. Mosquitoes are the worst. They carry diseases, like malaria, Zika, dengue, West Nile, etc. They cause little itchy welts. Terrible. Plus, they want to suck your blood. We don't like it. I don't like mosquitoes, so I don't want to say anything that I'll regret, but I'm not against this rule per se. I don't like them. They're definitely a nuisance. That's where I'm at on that. I'll get off my soapbox. Okay. New Jersey. Slurping soup in public is banned. The quirky rule is linked to an old public conduct ordinance. I don't think I've ever seen someone slurp soup in public. How often can it really happen? Do you think it could happen often enough that you have to make an ordinance or like a law about it? Good soup. I don't know. That seems weird. How about New York? Wearing slippers after 10 p.m. is illegal. Oh. The law was written for public safety, though the reasoning remains vague. Yeah, no doubt. If not then, when? Right? You're getting ready for bed. You got your slippers on. The cold floor. You gotta have slippers on. You get up in the morning. When does it end? Like 7 a.m. What if you get up early and you're in your house with slippers on? You're cooked. The SWAT team is gonna bust down your door. You're cooked. I don't agree with this one, if you can't tell. How about North Carolina? Bingo games cannot exceed 5 hours. Legislators worried about gambling addiction in retirement homes. Oh, retirement homes. Oh, wow. That one was a wild ride. I've played bingo a couple times, I think in order to play for that long, it's a pretty boring game, I think if you were getting to more than a couple hours, I could probably stretch it out. You can do anything for 2 hours, right? 3 hours, oh my god, 4 hours, 5 hours, but I guess maybe in some retirement homes there's not a lot to do, and maybe gambling addiction is a real problem for some of these folks. I think the law is good. 5 hours plus of bingo. Yeah, I don't know. They gotta start doing outings or something. You know what I mean? Like, get a comedian in there, or like musicians or something, or like lessons, right? Painting lessons, or like language lessons, or like something like that, right? Some new hobbies. I don't know. Because 5 hours plus of bingo. Cooked. Okay. How about Ohio? It's illegal to get a fish drunk. What? The law exists to prevent animal cruelty. It's a good law. It's definitely a good law. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was an option. Right? I don't think I've ever thought to do that. I hope that people are not doing that. I guess it makes sense that the alcohol would have some effect on the fish. I don't know. I don't know that much about neurobiology of fish. I will say that. But, yeah. Obviously there were enough people doing it, or wanting to do it, that they had to make a law about it. I don't like it. I will say that. I don't like it. Pennsylvania. Singing in the bathtub is prohibited. It was tied to old noise control ordinances. Wow. Like people, what? Can you hear like someone in the next apartment over, or like the next house over, singing in their bathtub? I don't think so, right? This must have been some kind of excessive thing. Like it must have been happening like a lot. They must have been getting all revved up. Karaoke night from the bathtub. I don't know. That one's a wild one. South Carolina. Oh, we have another bathtub one. We've been hitting the bathtub quite a lot tonight. Keeping a horse in a bathtub is illegal. The law mimicked Arizona's donkey and bathtub law after similar flooding issues. What do you mean, similar flooding issues? what is the size of your bathtub? Like, horses are they huge? Like, I feel like I've only seen big horses. I guess there's little ones. How big is your bathtub? Do you have a horse? Could it even sleep in there comfortably? And how does it do it? Is it on its back? Is it, like, can they? It's too much to think about. We have to move on. But, you know, if you're not from the States and you find yourself visiting the United States, be careful about which state you're in and which animals you have in sleeping in certain tubs. Because this could be risky for you and you're a little barn animal. And if you're from the States, let me know. Are these just weird fringe things? Are people sleeping with barn animals in their tubs? I'm just wondering. It's interesting. In Texas, criminals are technically required to give 24 hours notice before committing a crime. What? The law was designed to discourage duels, but the wording is absurd. It is definitely absurd to discourage duels. So this must be back in the old West days. So you probably had to, like, you know what they'd say, like, tomorrow on Main Street at noon, they would, like, give notice, and then they would have, like, a duel in the square, kind of thing. Maybe. The idea of a criminal calling the police station and being like, I'm gonna hit the bank on the corner of Wilson and Beauregard tomorrow at noon. Just letting you know. Just giving you 24 hours notice. And then they pull up there. Can you imagine? It's absurd. And also, like, the idea that, like, the criminal would say, oh, we're actually required to give notice before we commit this crime. They're already committing a crime. Why not just not give notice and commit the second crime? I don't know. And who gets charged with this? I have so many questions. We're almost through the United States. Vermont. Women once needed their husband's written consent to wear false teeth. What? Dentures were expensive and the law was about financial approval. That is brutal. Terrible. Terrible. I don't know if that's still a law. It shouldn't be, obviously. You know, I think there are, in the United States, a lot of laws that are paternalistic and brutal to women's rights. And this is obviously an ancient example of that. But I wish I could say that that stuff wasn't still happening, you know, in some form or another. Not literally with regards to the teeth, but, you know, sometimes with laws and with human rights and with women's rights, people take maybe a step forward and then 2 steps back and then 2 steps forward and then a step back. Like, why can't we just, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. I'm with the women. If you want false teeth, you go get your false teeth. I'm with you. Okay. Whistling underwater is illegal in West Virginia, though unenforceable. The rule was probably made in jest. I don't think you can. I don't think you can whistle underwater. So it's gotta be a joke. I don't think it can be done. Insane. Okay, here we go. Now we've moved on to my home. Let's see what they have to say about this. In Canada, and specifically Ontario, climbing trees without a permit is against the law. It's intended to prevent accidents and liability lawsuits. It's a good law, I think. I've definitely seen people in the emergency department who have been climbing when they should not have been climbing and had a massive fall with catastrophic injuries. So, not everyone. You can't trust that everyone has the best judgment to make that call. So I guess our government is saying, why don't you run it by us first? Right? Out of control. Okay, in Brazil, selling spray paint to minors is banned. The law was created to cut down on graffiti. I think graffiti can be so beautiful, and if done tastefully, but there's obviously so much graffiti that is done not tastefully and meant more as like some kind of like rebellious act or something. I don't know. I'm sounding like an old man. I'm just saying. I think it's not unreasonable to not sell spray paint to kids. You know, if you're working on like an art project or something, or if you want to practice getting really good at graffiti, you know, maybe your parents, you know, loop them in, right? Maybe they can get some for you. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything. I know nothing. You can disregard everything that I've said today. Bolivia, specifically La Paz, married women may only drink 1 glass of wine in public. Legislators claimed it was to prevent drunken misbehavior of women specifically. I'm just gonna say it. I think probably drunk men are the problem. Definitely by a landslide, more of a problem than drunk women. I don't know. I'm sure there's, you know, specific examples, but, you know, I think that's problematic, that law, definitely. Okay, what about Ecuador? Couples cannot kiss in public after 10 p.m. What? The law is rooted in conservative cultural norms. Wow, no smooches. No smooches in public after 10 p.m., but why can they do it during the day? That's what I want to know, because things get spicy after 10 p.m., I bet. That's what it is. What about Colombia? Carrying fish on public transport is illegal. It's considered a hygiene risk due to strong odors. Fair. I don't know if you've ever been on a very congested, hot weather public transport thing. Now I had fish. I get it. It's tough though, you know, you caught a couple trout, you want to bring them home. I see the problem. But maybe public transit is not the way. It's one of those things. How about Japan? Dancing in clubs after midnight was banned until 2015. The law dated back to World War II and was meant to discourage late night gatherings. Okay. Well, I'm glad as of 2015 you can dance after midnight. Because it's nice. It's nice to dance after midnight. Why not, right? Life is short. Singapore. Oh, this would not be good, you guys. Chewing gum has been banned since 1992. The government saw it as a threat to cleanliness and public infrastructure. I've been chewing gum this whole time. I wouldn't last in Singapore, probably. I don't really chew gum a lot. I will say that. I could definitely make it through a trip to Singapore without chewing gum. I think I'd be okay. But I hope they don't see this. They won't be inviting me. Okay, China, specifically Beijing. Cars cannot stop at pedestrian crossings. The strange rule prioritizes traffic flow, though it endangers walkers. I mean, I think the population is just so high in China that like a friend of mine is from there, and she told me that their family is only allowed to drive a certain car on a certain day. So like you get like a different colored license plate, and you're only allowed to drive like every second day, depending on your license plate. So then the families were like, well, we gotta drive every day. So they get 2 cars with the different colored license plates so they could swap days. I think traffic is a major issue in China. I don't know though. I've never been, but I've heard that. How about Hong Kong? A woman may kill her cheating husband, but only with her bare hands. Oh my goodness. Though unenforced, it reflects old attitudes towards infidelity. Oh my goodness. That is wild. I wonder if that's still a thing. The man cheats the wife, but she has to use her hands. Ooh, it's so visceral and barbaric. Goodness. Wow. I bet they don't cheat in China. In Hong Kong, specifically. Right. I would hope not. India. Flying a kite requires a police permit. Kites are legally classified as an aircraft under Indian law. Okay. I mean, they do have like massive kites. And I could see like if you're flying close to an airport like, a helipad or something like that. You wouldn't want to get it caught up in the props of the propeller or something. It seems a little heavy-handed, but everywhere is different. Thailand. Stepping on money is illegal. The currency bears the king's face, and disrespecting it is a serious crime. Okay. I see that. They put a lot of value on that. That's important to them. So, I will be sure not to do that if I ever go to Thailand. Don't step on the money. Okay, what about Indonesia? Malaysia. Wearing yellow clothing was once banned during protests. Yellow became the color of a pro-democracy movement, so authorities restricted it. Oh, wow. So political. So heavy-handed. You get your nice floral sundress. You're cooked. In the Philippines, the drivers must wear shirts at all times. The law was written to promote decency on the road. You don't often see people driving without a shirt, though. Like, at least in Canada. Maybe you do other places. I would say, like, the further outside the city you go, the more likely you are to see someone driving without a shirt. I've driven without a shirt. If I've had to drive somewhere to do like a swim or something, like a workout in the lake, and then you're just a quick drive home sometimes. I think they'd lock me up for that. They'd lock me up for that for sure. Okay, South Africa. It's illegal to wrestle a bear. Reasonable. This law was passed for obvious animal cruelty concerns, though bears don't live there naturally. Oh. That makes sense. So there's no bears there. But people wanted to wrestle a bear. I'm struggling on this one. They have a lot of wildlife in South Africa. A lot. Wildebeest and lions and elephants and giraffes and like hyenas and all that stuff. But they had to make the law about the animal they don't have, which is the bear. Okay. I wish that was a law here in Canada. Maybe it is. I don't know. But we have lots of bears here. And I don't know if anyone in their right mind would wrestle one. I think it would be a certain death to try to do that because they are absolutely massive and ferocious. How about in Kenya? Public displays of affection are discouraged and punishable. The law reflects the country's conservative cultural values. I think the important thing is, like, when you're going somewhere new that you've never been before, it is worth researching the cultural differences and the legal differences of the places you're going, especially if it feels like a big jump from where you are now, right? Like a totally different part of the world. Then it's worth doing that so that when you go, you can be respectful and try to, do as they do a little bit, right? To be respectful while you're there. So yeah, I've been to Kenya, and I didn't do any public displays of affection, right? That's what you do. How about Uganda? Naming your child president is illegal. Officials believed it undermined respect for the head of state. Okay. I've spent some time in East Africa, and there is this whole thing where, like, people love to name their kids after U.S. presidents. So there was a lot of, like, Ronald Reagan's and, like, Barack Obama's and, like, U.S. president names. Like George Bush. There was, like, a ton of people with U.S. president names. I think it's, like, to kind of invoke this, like, powerful position, right? I think that's what they're kind of going for. It's like a name that bears global respect. Yeah, just a fascinating little tidbit. Zimbabwe. Making rude gestures at presidential motorcade can lead to arrest. The law is heavily enforced around political processions. Okay. That's interesting. What I'm getting from a lot of countries is that disrespecting your head of state is a no-no. So, I've been to Zimbabwe. I didn't see any presidential motorcades. ideas of their current government. I don't know much about Zimbabwe's government or the way that their system works, but yeah, it's too bad that they can't. They don't have that freedom to be able to express themselves, you know. But I make no judgment. Everywhere in the world is a different place. Let's go to Australia, specifically Victoria. Only licensed electricians can change light bulbs. It was meant to reduce accidents, though many citizens ignore it. I would probably ignore that one. I would probably just change the light bulbs, but I wonder how it's punishable. You know, fine, jail time, warning. Like the first light bulb, you get a warning. Second light bulb, a fine. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I would probably just change the light bulb. Alright, how about Western Australia? Owning more than 50 kilograms of potatoes at once is illegal. The law came from a potato ban regulation to prevent black market trading. Wow. Do they grow potatoes in Australia? That's my question. Because I think Australia, because it's so isolated, they have to import a lot of stuff, I think. And I could see that if you were like hoarding and then selling potatoes on the black market, you know, it's better than illicit drugs, I will say that. Like, you know, mashed potato, good. Roasted potatoes, good. Baked potatoes, good. French fries, good. Hash browns, good. Home fries, good. Scalloped potatoes, delicious. You know, but 50 kilograms seems like a lot of potatoes to me. I don't think I've ever been in the presence of 50 kilograms of potatoes that I know of. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Imagine a potato black market. That's a funny one. Okay, New Zealand. Flying with a rooster in a hot air balloon is banned. The rule came from animal welfare concerns during the ballooning craze of the early 1900s. There were people taking their rooster up in a hot air balloon. That seems wild. I don't think roosters can fly, can they? I don't think so. That's not good. I feel like a rooster would get scared and then fall out of it. And aren't they like kind of dangerous? Don't they have big talons and stuff? You don't want to end up scrapping with a rooster in the middle of the sky. You know, and what if it cut a hole in the thing? Bad. You're cooked. Not good. Wow. Alright guys. This thing has been a true roller coaster. We have literally been all over the world. We seem to spend a lot of time in the United States because they have some very interesting rules there. But rules is rules. And this has been very informative, very fun. What do we take away from all this? I would say, if you're going somewhere, take a moment to do a little research, to learn about the laws, the customs, the culture of the place you're going before you go, so that when you go there, you can be the most respectful that you can as a visitor. It is a privilege to be able to travel and see the different parts of the world, and yeah, we don't want to squander that privilege and waste that opportunity. And of course, we want to be respectful everywhere we go. If you have any commentary on any of these weird and wild laws, drop me a comment. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button. And guys, thank you so much for joining. Until next time, we will see you later.